Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In this video I want to talk about alchemy and manifestation, something that I've been meaning to talk about for forever. So let's get started. Okay, listen, I have been meaning to talk about this topic because I think it's absolutely fascinating, and I also don't hear too many people talk about this, And once again, on topic of manifestation, let's talk about how you can alchemize energy and make it work for you. And we're specifically talking about here energy that is unpleasant, energy that you don't like when you are in a mood that is maybe a bit more kind of suppressed, when you are angry, when you're sad, when you're experiencing something unpleasant that you do not want to feel, you don't want to dwell in that. And listen, once again, not to keep repeating myself, but actually I will keep repeating myself. No toxic positivity here. So I'm not going to tell you that like if you're feeling any negative emotions, you should suppress them and kind of just like think happy thoughts, because I don't actually believe in that. I think it's harmful advice. And I will attach a playlist with videos on emotional processing in the description box, as I always do, because if you are, kind of new to this topic, if you don't know how to deal with, how to process your emotions ethically and ecologically, like unpleasant emotions specifically, then please check out those videos. They're very detailed. However, we have an update today. So if you have already learned how to deal with that energy, how to process that, I want to teach you today, and I want to talk with you today about how to channel that energy, how to make that energy work for you. I feel like it's also a really good way of expressing your emotions, specifically anger. I feel like it specifically works really well with like anger or any really intense emotions when you are feeling kind of on edge a little bit and you kind of don't know what to do with yourself. You can use that energy for manifestation. So how are you going to do that? The short answer is basically, if we kind of get to the point straight away, you want to channel that energy into creation, right? You want to channel that energy into creating something, into work, basically. You want to take that energy and instead of dwelling in it, instead of kind of like sitting and not knowing what to do with it, you can channel that energy right into your work or into your art or into creating something. The thing is that this is literally free energy and you can choose what to do with it. You can do something destructive with it, which I don't recommend you do, because that's unhelpful and it's not going to make you feel any better. It's not going to make anyone feel any better, But you can take that energy because you already have it and you can channel that to make something incredible. I have heard people talk about this many months ago. I watched a video or two about this and I found this really fascinating, and I feel like generally this advice helped me tremendously, especially now recently, now that I've been recording videos. And I have been scheduling certain appointments that I'm doing now, specifically before I record. It happened last time, it happened this time as well. Specifically scheduled today because I was planning to film today. Why did I do that? Because these appointments make me feel kind of frustrated sometimes. Always make me feel frustrated. I'll talk about it later on in the future. I will. Don't you worry. But I found myself in a situation where I feel like I felt so frustrated and so angry. I didn't know what to do with that. I wasn't sure if I was actually able to film because I was just feeling so kind of like defeated in a way, but also like really frustrated. And I realized that it works actually really well, and I felt really good filming that day because I just had all of that fire and all that energy. I just channeled that into creating something, into the work, into the art. So yes, this is directly tied to manifestation because you do need energy for manifestation. Once you get clear with what it is that you want to do, like what your goals are, what it is that you want to achieve, and you figured out the steps that you need to take towards that, it's important that you do not confuse yourself and don't think that you have to be in this like positive mindset in order to do the work. This so much misinformation online about this. And I used to feel really trapped because of that. I felt like I need to be kind of thinking positive thoughts all the time, and I felt guilty when I didn't because mental health struggles, you know, and I felt like anxious and depressed all of the times, and I felt like there's just no hope for someone like me because I can't force myself to think positive thoughts. And when I actually did that, it didn't make me feel any better because, well, duh, obviously wouldn't, because you should be expressing your negative emotions and dealing with them instead of suppressing them. That's not helpful. All right. So, yes, please don't believe anybody who's telling you that you should be always in this positive mindset when you're creating something that you love, when you are working towards something you want to achieve. This is the biggest piece of misinformation ever when it comes to manifestation. This, what we're talking about here today, is literal alchemy. Look at the name of my channel, Alchemist Ages, you know? I'm passionate about this. I wanted to talk about this from the beginning. I wanted to talk about alchemizing energy and making it work in your favor, because you cannot make things work perfectly for you all the time. You can't predict how things are going to go and what's going to happen. You cannot always control the circumstances and your mood. You just can't do that, you know? Even if you feel like you can control your mood, because some people tell you that you can by thinking positive thoughts. Again, I'm not subscribing to any of that, because you should respect how you feel and you should honor your emotions and you should deal with them. You know, you should not be always aiming for that pretty picture of like feeling great and, you know, everything being amazing. It's not always the case. But that also doesn't mean that you should be stuck in your work or in your art or in anything that you want to create. Does not mean that at all. Because what you need for creation and for work, right, is energy. So basically, my advice to you is that instead of just feeling even more sad for yourself and kind of like perpetrating this, you know, kind of vicious cycle of, you know, feeling bad and then kind of feeling like you can't even do anything about that, you can't create from this kind of mind space, and dwelling in that energy and feeling even worse about yourself and feeling even less motivated to do anything afterwards, just waiting for yourself like to get, you know, to feel better. Instead of doing all of that stuff, you can just channel that. It's okay to be angry when you're making beautiful art or any kind of art. It's perfectly fine. You do not have to be in the perfect mood. You don't have to be in this perfect mindset. What you need is energy. And when someone makes you angry, if a work meeting makes you angry, if like a conversation with your relatives makes you upset or something like that, that is energy that you can use. And here is another piece of advice that I can give you. And this is obviously something for you not to abuse, but this is, once again, you can literally make this work in your favor. You can schedule your, you know, your work, your art making, any creative work that you want to do, specifically after, like on the days when you have certain work meetings, when you're seeing certain people, when you have to do certain tasks that make you feel angry and frustrated. I'm not saying, once again, don't abuse that. And this is obviously, once again, do check out my videos on emotional processing. They're really helpful. This is one of fantastic ways of channeling that energy, and it makes you feel really good because it clears the energy. It allows you to let it out in a very safe, ethical, and ecological way, which is exactly what we want. What does it mean? It means that you're not hurting yourself in the process, you're not hurting anyone else in the process. You're just letting it be and you're channeling that into art. Why is that so powerful? Besides the fact that you just have, you know, the buildup of this energy is really strong. If, especially once again, when it comes to fury, frustration, anger, something like that, something really unpleasant to hold, something you just want to shake off. And I talk in my videos a lot about like shaking your body, like writing angry letters and stuff like that. And you can do all of that too, absolutely. But this is, you have this buildup of energy that's really, really strong. And so that energy is going to be basically like alchemized into something that you want to achieve, and it's going to make that happen faster for you. It's going to give you an extra fuel. It's basically extra fuel. You can look at energy as literal fuel in this case. Not literal, but like metaphysical fuel, I guess, if you want. So Yes, I'm really hoping that you found this video helpful. I have been definitely using this advice myself. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I feel like this is something that people don't talk about enough. And this is maybe more of a gate-capped kind of a, advice, but I don't want you to feel bad about those days when you're feeling extra frustrated. You can literally make those days work for you in your favor and like make things happen the most positive way for yourself, regardless of, the external circumstances and how other people make you feel, and like how you wake up feeling in the morning. Once again, doesn't really matter. So it was a short video for today, but it was really important for me to talk about this because this is extremely powerful and like honestly really cool. So I really hope you guys like this video. If you have any advice about alchemizing energy in some other ways, please let me know in the comments. And just genuinely, please leave any comment to support my channel. It would mean a lot to me. Please like this video, share it with your friends, with your loved ones. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one.